Yes. Welcome back, everybody, back to my top 25 college football series. You know what's kind of funny is everybody else like writes their 25 and puts out lists, and I'm like, no, I'm talking to my top 25. So I love this. And so obviously this is the Arizona State episode. Nobody that I'm recording with knows who else I'm recording with, so nobody really knows who's in my top 25. So that keeps it interesting. And then just so we level set, every episode is going to be released by the order I think I have in my top 25. So whoever I have top number 25 is releasing August 1st, and then so forth and so on as we get into the season. Now, having said that, this is an exciting conversation for me because Texas had the opportunity to play Arizona State. I feel like I was like, Arizona State is dangerous just because people don't think they should be here. So, here comes all the things, right? Like all the things you can imagine. And then your quarterback really made a name for himself. And so I want to know, what is it like being an Arizona State fan? How long you've been a fan? Introduce yourself, all of the things, because I have so many questions that I want to ask you.
Well, for anyone who recognizes me, and I'm sure a lot of Texas fans do recognize me because I got flooded with a little bit of hate. I might have been public enemy number one in Texas, in Austin specifically.
I liked it.
Richie Bradshaw, Locked on Sun Devils. Appreciate being invited on to talk about, my favorite football team, my college, and yeah, just everything. But I'll tell you what, it was a very special season for the Sun Devils because they have been very up and down, and they've had some good times. The Todd Graham era 10 years ago, they had consecutive 10-win seasons, and then that burned out. Then Herm Edwards comes in, and he recruits some incredible players like Jaden Daniels, who's the third highest recruited player in the modern era where we have the 5-star, 4-stars, all that good stuff. But we all know what happened after that with the COVID sanctions, and Kenny Dillingham comes in. And Kenny Dillingham, a native to Arizona State. When he first got into, so that was his alma mater. And when he first started getting into coaching, he was a assistant on staff, and then he followed Mike Norvell to Memphis and then to Florida State, and then he's had a few stops elsewhere, and then he wound up back here where he loves it. That's one of the reasons why, by the way, ASU fans are not worried that he's going to jump ship. Now, Ohio State, Bama calls, total side note, obviously.
Yeah.
You got to listen. Money talks, but we're very confident he's going to stay. But he goes 3-9 his first year. Yep. We were coming off a 3-9 season. It was very different because we were very competitive in a lot of those games. We could have been a 7-5 football team if they knew how to close games, which would have included a win over Washington in Seattle. They went to the national championship game that year. We could have beat them. But, horseshoes and hand grenades, that stuff doesn't matter. We end up going into 2024, and we're feeling pretty good. I go into the year, I'm like, I think this is a bowl team. I could see 7-5, which is what we were hovering around last year if you win those games. And they start off pretty solid. We're excited. And then the second half of the year, it was transcended. It was ASU football that I have not seen in a very long time, if ever. Cam Scadaboo, who I have dubbed the people's running back because he runs it, he catches it, he's your mom's favorite player, all that good stuff. He's special. He finishes 5th in Heisman voting, but Sam Levitt, the quarterback you brought up earlier, he really came into his own in the second half of the season. And Jordan Tyson, the number one receiver on this team, leads the nation in receiving yards from week 8 to the end of the regular season. Unfortunately, he suffered an injury against Arizona, missed the playoff. A lot of people think if Jordan Tyson plays that game against Texas that we win. I think it increases your chances, but I also know that that just becomes a different football game, and I'm not willing to say one player completely changes the game. Like a quarterback, a number one receiver, it's definitely a different game, but I don't know if that fixes some of the calls. Neither here nor there. But it was a special year. It was a very special year.
You guys, I think you guys went from like the coach tweeting, "Hey, I need kickers, try out, please."
Yeah.
To being in the college football playoffs, right? Like that was the same season, right?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. Okay. And they literally had some kids that showed up to practice and tried to get a walk-on opportunity. There's a kid that's been trying to get on with the program for a while. We were all rooting for him, but unfortunately it didn't work out. And ASU just is able to truck along. But that was a huge turning point for the team. That was after a loss to Cincinnati. And we had a bye week, and then we came back and we won the rest of the regular season.
Right. Yeah. And I would just like to put on record, if I think about it, I'm tagging it right here in this moment. I called Arizona State winning the Big 12. Yikes.
That tells you.
Yikes. Can you look up Arizona State?
Yeah. Look up Arizona State. 74th.
All right. I'm going with it. I'm doing it. Okay. So I wasn't going to do it. But now that I have data, because I live on Earth 1, and when you have data and you use critical thinking on Earth 1, you can come up with different things. I think Arizona State is the sleeper of the Big 12 right now. And from the history of the Big 12 is what I know is usually, I could be wrong, but usually there's a team towards the end of the year, because this happened with Oklahoma State last year. It happened with Kansas State the year before. I can go back and tell you all the history of the Big 12. There's usually a team in the Big 12 that is not on scene, that people are talking about, that nobody cares about, that kind of is sneaking their way up, and they're like sneak their way into conversation. And I'm going to say this, and I might regret it later, but I'm all about taking risk. I'm going to bring Arizona State to this conversation. I'm going to bring Arizona State to this conversation for a couple of reasons. A, they have, I think, one of the hardest strength of schedules in the Big 12 based on what you just said. So that's the first thing. They also have played Utah, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. They played the teams that everybody thought was going to be good. Okay, so their strength of schedule is high. They have left UCF, Kansas State, BYU, and Arizona. So this week they play UCF. If Arizona State finds a way to keep winning, they could stun the Big 12. There was a moment and I thought, I think they might have this figured out. And you know what? It was Cincinnati, because you didn't win the game, but it was still a close game. Was Cam Scadaboo out, or was you all's quarterback out?
Sam Levitt was out. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I remember watching that game and I was like, if they had a quarterback, this could be different. Anyway, so in that moment, I was like, Arizona State's going to win this conference. And everyone's like, no, they're not. There's no way, because you guys had BYU. I think you had Iowa State or Kansas State. Like, it was an upward climb. And then I don't think you lost after that.
No, we didn't. We just ran the table. So we got wins against BYU. We got wins against Kansas State. Yeah. They took down UCF at home, and UCF was competitive last year. They smacked Oklahoma State like they should have. They smacked Arizona like they should have. They go to the Big 12 championship, and they smacked Iowa State, which they were not supposed to do. That was supposed to be a close game, and it was not they pulled starters.
Yeah.
That's crazy to pull starters in a championship game.
Yeah. It was in that moment where I was like, I'm taking notice. And everybody knows this. Texas always, we have the athletes, we have all the stuff. It doesn't matter. I don't even know that. But teams like Arizona State are the teams you don't want to play, because they have like the grit and the heart and the effort and, all the things that you're like, and I knew it was like, they're going to pull out all the stops. Like, we're going to see some fake punts. We're going to see some this. We're going to see some trick plays. We're going to see, and of course it all happened and we weren't ready for it, but that's a different conversation for another day. So anyways, having said that, you guys go on this magical season. What are you looking forward to this season? I mean, I feel like you're right where you're supposed to be, but what do you think? What are you thinking about as you head into the season? Like, what is success for Arizona State this year?
The problem that you're running into is a lot of people view this as a Big 12 championship or bust team. And in one sense, I do agree, because you're returning the second most
returning production.
Production. Thank you. Could not think of the word production. Second most production in the country, only behind Clemson. Clemson is one of the heavyweight favorites to win a championship this year. Yep. And I understand you did lose big pieces, none more so than Cam Scadaboo. But again, Sam Levitt's back, Jordan Tyson is back. The Levitt to Tyson connection is phenomenal. And they loaded up the backfield. They are going to have some good, healthy players. Kyson Brown is back for the team. He's a local kid in Texas. He plays much better than a 3-star. Yep. I'm convinced that 3 stars in the state of Texas are 4 stars in 49 other states.
Speak on it.
Yeah. Kyson's phenomenal. He has looked great since a freshman year. He's going to have a chance this year. But they also added Kanye Udo, who came from Army, ran for 1,100 yards behind their quarterback, who we all know that's Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
He's a tough dude. I got to speak with him personally, and it was an absolute blast. He's as humble as you would expect for someone coming from a service academy. So,
Perfect.
have you seen the movie Moneyball?
Yes.
You can't replace Cam Scadaboo, but you can
No.
replace him in the aggregate. You're
Yes.
going to have this group of running backs collectively replace his statistics. You need the rushing yards, you need the touchdowns. I think that the combo they have should be able to get at least close to it. But then
Okay.
you're going to have to step up in the passing game. Levitt to Tyson alone is going to be terrific, but they added some guys in the transfer portal. Their tight end position is getting recruited at a rate that ASU fans have never seen. We have had a 4-star tight end recruited in the 2024 and 2025 class. There are 2 more 4-stars coming in for next year's class. They are
Nice.
recruiting the position. It's time to get them involved.
Yeah.
Defensively, they lost a couple of big pieces. They lose Shamari Simmons, who, if Texas fans don't remember him, he's the one who cracked the running back in the backfield, and Quinn Ewers took a knee for the safety.
At the same time, right? It
Yeah.
felt like it was like instantaneous. But wasn't he like
was.
suspended for the first half?
He was, for one of the worst
Targeting something.
calls I've ever seen, but we all know how targeting goes.
Yeah,
But
these refs don't
he's-
know the rules.
No. He's gone, and one of your linebackers, Caleb McCullough, is gone. You're returning everyone else. You have your
Okay.
starting edge rushers. You have your starting defensive line. You have your starting linebackers. You have your top 2 corners, your 2 starting safeties, and your 2 deep at the positions as well. So
Love
the
it.
defense is loaded. The offense is talented, and they found a kicker. And side note for you,
Found a
the-
I love
the
it.
kicker they brought in, his name is Jesus Gomez. He played at Eastern Michigan. When
Okay.
he kicked his first ever field goal, and he was 3 for 3 in this game, it was against Arizona State in Tempe. Following that game, Herm Edwards got fired. So Jesus Gomez is kind of responsible for the domino effect that has come out of everything. So he transfers to Arizona State, and we're like, you're going in the Ring of Honor. Like, you're already a fan favorite. Like, you're a legend in
You're
Tempe.
the best.
Yeah. So they're loading up. They lost some big pieces for sure, but they brought back so many good players. The 2 deep roster alone, you'll be able to rotate those guys in. But Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson, they're going to be crazy this year. Levitt has Heisman odds for a reason.
What is the strength of the team this year? What is the one thing at the end of the day you'll know if all else fails? This part of the team was going to be fine.
So offensively, to be a broken record, it's definitely going to be Levitt to Tyson. They have an opportunity to be the best duo in the country. You have Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State. You have Ryan Williams at Alabama. But we'll find out what their quarterbacks are. We don't know what Julian Sain is just yet. We don't know what Ty Simpson is just yet, or if they're even going to start. We do know what Levitt is. We know what Tyson is. We know that if Tyson doesn't get injured at the end of the year, there's a very, very real chance he ends up leading the NCAA in receiving yards, which is insane to think. Yeah. As long as everyone's healthy, and I was able to attend spring practices this year, everyone is healthy, everyone looks good. They have an opportunity to be the best quarterback to receiver combo in the nation. That's your strength on offense. Build your identity with those 2. Defensively, I love the depth from top to bottom. The pass rush, it's not really there. You do not get a lot of production from your sack guys, but the secondary is ridiculous. There is a lot of pro talent there. Texas fans may recognize the name Xavier Alford, who originally committed to Texas, transferred to USC, and then comes to Arizona State. He had missed a lot of time with injuries, and then the NCAA ruled him ineligible as being a 2-time transfer, which there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. It's a whole thing. But he goes 1,000 days without getting on the football field and ends the season as a first-team all-conference player. He's going to be playing on Sundays. He leads that team. They've got 2 number 1 corners with Javen Robinson and Keith Abney. They've got the depth behind them. So defensively, I love the front 7 and the depth. This secondary is going to be deadly. There's a lot of turnover potential, and if if Javen Robinson and Keith Abney take that next step forward, you have 2 number 1 corners back there. They are special.
Okay. What is something that concerns you? Like, what is something that you're thinking, like, in the back of your mind, I'm a little bit, it's nagging me. And so I'm thinking about it. I don't want to call it a weakness, but maybe it is, or maybe it's just a concern right now.
Yeah. So looking at offense, it's definitely the wide receiver position besides Jordan Tyson. You're replacing the entire room. Melcon Stovall's gone. Xavier Guillory is gone. Jake Smith is gone. Troy O'Mary is gone. It's a lot. Jordan Tyson's back. He has to carry that room. And I do like the guys they brought in. Jalen Moss comes in from Fresno State. He was able to compile over 1,000 yards in 2 seasons. You have Malik McClain returning. He only had 2 catches last year. One in the Big 12 championship game. One in the Peach Bowl. Both of them went over 40 yards. So big play potential, but we do not know much with him. And they have some younger guys that could potentially be studs. But this is also where I say I need to see the tight end position step up this year, because I don't know what we're going to get out of the receivers outside of Tyson. Like, we could see a season where Tyson has 1,300 yards and the second closest wide receiver, which this is the case last year, has under 500, which would not be ideal. So that's my concern offensively. Defensively, I mentioned the pass rush, and that's really it. ASU scraped just over 20 sacks last year. They've got talented guys. Clayton Smith is a good football player. Prince Dorbaugh is a good football player. Both Texas guys. They just weren't able to collect the sacks.
Yeah.
And that's typically a problem, is you can have the best coverage in the world, but eventually when a play breaks down, you need to be able to get to the quarterback. And they weren't able to do that last year. And there is such a thing as coverage sacks. So maybe the secondary will be able to start forcing those this year. But that also requires your edge rushers to be able to get home to the quarterback. Your interior linemen, they are much more geared to stuffing the run. They could potentially help, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on Smith, Dorbaugh, Elijah O'Neal, Roman Petrie, Justin Wadley. They're going to need to step up this year. And I know they're going to get creative with some blitz packages, but that's not even a small concern. That's a big concern, is whether or not ASU will be able to generate a pass rush. Because if you can't sack the quarterback, that's like, pressures are important. They are. You still need to be able to finish and end plays.
I agree. So let's pivot to the schedule for a little bit. What is a game on the schedule that you are looking the most forward to, and why?
It's definitely in October when we host Texas Tech. There is a very real chance that the Red Raiders and the Sun Devils are going to represent the Big 12 in the Big 12 championship game this year. Texas Tech found a lot of oil money this offseason. They spent a lot of money in that transfer portal, and they brought in some ace football players, but they're also returning their quarterback. They're returning offensive linemen. They're returning receivers. That's a really good looking team. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. They were your first ever Big 12 game last year. First ever game. You go to Lubbock, you lose the game. We're looking for our get back, but that's also one of the most important home games that ASU will have this year. So that's like a must win for me. And a runner up would be in November, they have to go to Ames and play Iowa State for a rematch of the Big 12 championship game. And the Midwest is a little bit colder than Arizona is in November. So we'll see how they stack up. Biggest home game, biggest road game are those two, but Texas Tech is the one I have circled.
Okay. And then is there any games on the schedule that feels like trap games to you that you're like, man, this could run everything just because where it's at, where the game is located, who the competition is, or maybe you don't see them as competition, but that's usually what it means to be a trap game, as you're kind of overlooking it. Is there anybody on your schedule this year that you think is a trap game?
Oh, yeah. And it's going to blow a lot of minds, but Mississippi State, you have to go to Starkville for this game, which that's not the easiest place to play. Fun fact, last year, so we had the home and home. When Mississippi State came out to Tempe, we did not allow cowbells in the stadium. for a very
interesting.
obvious reason.
Yeah.
They're allowed to have their cowbells at Starkville. It's going to be loud.
Yeah.
And Mississippi State took ASU to the wire last year. Now, was ASU what they were? No, but, it was still a tight football game.
Yeah.
And you have to go on the road, and it's an SEC environment, whether that's playing at Alabama or it's playing in Starkville. It's still a much different, more intense environment. And I do foresee Mississippi State improving, which, I mean, improving from the season they had last year seems to be a bare minimum. But I do think that they're going to be sneaky competitive this year. And as a good friend of mine, Spencer McLaughlin from Locked On College Football, has said, it feels like they're the team that's supposed to win a game they're not supposed to win this year. And week 2 against ASU going to Starkville, I have a feeling that's a really great chance for Mississippi State to make a statement in the year and say, we're better than we were last year, and we just took down the reigning Big 12 champions. That's definitely the game that I look at, and I'm nervous more than any other game. There's really not another game on the season that I look at and I go, man, I don't know. There's quality games for sure, but I look at that Mississippi State game, and I'm here and I'm confident for sure. But I also, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't know, man. You're going to the other side of the country in SEC country.
And
That's
there's
not easy.
cowbells.
And there's a lot of cowbells. That's a whole other experience for stadium noise.
Yeah. Yeah. If your team wins just one game this season, and it's, I'm assuming your rival's Arizona, but I could be wrong, and it's against your rival, what game would that be?
We in Arizona like to consider 2 seasons for every year. There's the first 11 games, and then there's the Territorial Cup.
Okay.
And there are legitimately fans who will grade the success of your season on whether or not you win that Territorial Cup. You can go 11-1, but if you lost that game, there's going to be a lot of fans, more than there should be, who will say this was a wasted year, which is crazy. But that game in itself is just so isolated for fans. When we talk about what's the most important game, it's always that one. And it's not fun to say that one over and over. No matter how bad U of A is, no matter how great U of A is, and vice versa for ASU, that is always the biggest game for both of these programs. But if there's one game that I wanted to win this year, I would love to win that Texas Tech game. I would love to win that Iowa State game. I want to win in Waco against Baylor. That's a really important game for me.
Sneaky good game. Yeah.
It is. And one of the things that I've said since about February, and I was called crazy at the time, and now it's kind of like, maybe there's something there. And I also go back and forth on this, but my way too early Big 12 championship prediction was ASU Baylor. I really like what that team has. That offense is going to put up a lot of numbers this year. They have some serious dudes. Now, it's going to depend on Dave Aranda, because we've seen hot seasons and we've seen cold seasons, but they ended the year hot. If they enter next year, or the upcoming year, I should say, just as hot, then that's a dangerous football team. That's your first Big 12 game, so you're opening for the second year in a row on the road to start Big 12 play. And Baylor is a good team. Like, we're going to go into the year and we're going to say they're a sneaky good team. But I think by the time we're halfway through the year, if the season goes like it does, we might say, if the Big 12 is getting a second team in, it might be Baylor.
Wow. Okay. I like it. And I don't disagree with you. I like it. I like it a lot, actually, because Baylor is one of those schools too that a lot of people don't think about until you think about them.
Right.
And then you start evaluating, and then you're like, oh, they have who, and then where. So that's a good point. And that game is a really good game, actually. I like it.
I'm looking forward to that trip to Waco, smack dab in the middle of the state. And I've been to Waco. There's not a whole lot to do out there. So you have a lot of fans who are we got nothing to do on a Saturday. Let's go watch a football game. Like,
absolutely.
College football special out there. But I'm also very aware that Friday Night Lights is religion in Texas. They love their football.
100%. So if you could add one person from college football on to the Arizona State Sun Devils, who would it be and why? Any team, one guy.
Jeremiah Smith is definitely the obvious answer, but I also just feel really confident in Jordan Tyson that I don't feel the need to have two ace receivers, although I'm certainly not going to complain.
Right.
I would go on the defensive side of the ball. I would get a pass rusher, and I'm all about TJ Parker from Clemson.
Clemson.
I think that dude is an absolute beast. I also love Ruben Bain in
Miami.
Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can give me Colin Simmons and I'd be a pretty happy guy because he might be the best pass rusher, even with how good those guys are. He was someone that I had highlighted going into the Peach Bowl. If you were going to lose that game, there was a very good chance that Colin Simmons would have made you lose it by himself. That kid is an animal. So, you know what? Now I've thought about it. Yeah, give me Colin Simmons. TJ Parker's great. Yeah, get younger. I have 2 years out of him. Yeah, give me Colin Simmons, who visited ASU at one point. We were like, hey, we got a chance for this. And it was like, no, not really, but it's still cool. And it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Colin Simmons recruiting was one Texas fans. Like, I felt like, you know how there's some recruits that you just like, you go through the ebbs and flows and you're like, we got him. Wait, he's going there. Wait, if he likes there, how could he like us? Well, wait a second. Like, have we missed this altogether? So yeah, that I appreciate that. And then I have just like a random question. What is it like to almost go from hunting to now you're almost being the hunted? Now people are looking at your program as they want information. They want to know who your players are. It's almost like you all have flipped the script a little bit. You won the Big 12 last year. You have a lot of people returning this year. Your coach is hot as can be. Your quarterback is hot. Like, there's so many things happening now with Arizona State. What has that switch been like for you as a fan and somebody who covers the team?
I mean, it's a really crazy switch, especially just with how quick it happened. Because, like I said, you had consecutive 3-win seasons, and then all of a sudden, Kenny Dillingham in his second year more than triples his win total from his first year, from 3 to 11. And you look at the coaching staff, and it's terrific. Marcus Arroyo, the offensive coordinator, has head coaching experience at the collegiate level. Brian Ward, your defensive coordinator, is one of the most overlooked, best kept secret defensive coordinators in the country. And then you look at everything that they were able to return. Sam Levitt had confirmed several times over the last couple of months at public charity events and stuff like that, there were programs that offered me a few $100,000 to go to their programs. And the craziest thing I've ever heard a 19-year-old kid say, 20-year-old kid, he goes, what's a few $100,000 when I can stay at Arizona State? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'll tell you what a few $100,000 is, Sam. That's pretty good.
Thank you for your loyalty, but bro.
Exactly. Come on, man. But I mean, that speaks to not just the brand and the culture that you're setting, but you also have these kids that are just completely intent on being Sun Devils. Like, they want to be the fan favorites for a long time, and they want to be the people that we talk about 10 years down the road. And we're like, man, how good was Sam Levitt? And just really reminisce and all that good stuff. But it does have to do with culture building as well, which starts from the coaching staff and bleeds down to the players. Yeah.
He's done a phenomenal job.
He has. And these players love him, and they have inherited that culture building. They're the ones that run the locker room now. You have the veterans on this team who are encouraging the guys, who are encouraging guys to stay, to commit, to play better. It's truly special what's going on. So you see all of that, and now you have programs that are looking at ASU and they go, wow, they turned that around quick. Like, sure, maybe they are a Cinderella team, but this is definitely worth noting how quickly this thing turned around, and how guys like Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson, I'm sure guys on defense were offered to leave as well, decided to stay,
100%.
Probably take less money.
And because what's a couple $100,000 anyway?
The craziest thing ever. I'm like, good for you, Sam. I'm happy for you.
That's awesome. So I want to end with a follow-up with a final question of like just anything else you want us to think about for this season. But I have been given feedback that I bring on people to talk to me, and then I don't open it up for people to ask me questions. You absolutely don't have to ask me one single question, but if you want to ask me questions, I want to open up for you to do that. If you can think of anything, but I would love to know
I
just like
can.
anything. Okay. And then I would love to know just like anything else you want us to know about Arizona State. Let's start with your questions and then we'll end with you telling us anything else we should know about Arizona State.
So my biggest question has to revolve around Arch Manning. But my question specifically is, are we expecting that dramatic of a change from what you were able to accomplish from Quinn Ewers, who was up and down, but for the most part, he was pretty good during his time at Texas, go to Arch Manning? And we've already seen the championship odds skyrocket. Arch Manning, one of the biggest Heisman Trophy odds guys right now. Are Texas fans expecting just as dramatic an increase from like, hey, these are national champion favorites to like, this is the national champion favorite? Arch Manning is the Heisman Trophy favorite.
So I think it's a loaded question, so I'm going to answer it multiple ways. So I think the first thing, a lot of Texas fans think that 2026 is kind of the deadline. So whatever we do in 2025, we're like, okay, cool. Because we in Texas land know that Arch Manning was like, he's going to stay for 2 years. Like there's always been this plan and everything so far has gone according to plan. So yes, we're like, yeah, 2025 is here, but we're also thinking about what 2026 could look like. However, Arch Manning is going to open up our playbook a lot when it comes to like the deep ball threat, and he has legs that Ewers doesn't have. So I think the offense is going to look different, and I think that is what makes us excited. The Heisman talk, I mean, he's a Manning, so I guess you kind of have to have that. I don't really subscribe to that. Whatever. Like if Arch Manning is in Heisman contention, then yes, we're probably, I get the favorite. I get the odds on favorite to win the national championship. However, I think what a lot of people are sleeping on with Texas is this defense. And I think this defense is the reason why people are ranking us so high, because if Arch Manning is slightly better than Ewers, some people might say we would win the championship last year if he was slightly better. And so I think the odds are saying like, okay, Ewers was basically hurt all year last year. That's officially come out. So he was kind of playing around, and I think Arch wasn't ready to go. I think Coach Sark made a coaching decision. This might be the first time I'm saying this publicly, but I think Coach Sark made a coaching decision that I don't think he'll ever get enough credit for, in not throwing out Arch Manning because he's Arch Manning, but throwing him out when Arch Manning was 100% ready. And I think as a coach, he did him that favor because I think sometimes we forget about protecting these kids and making sure they're ready. Just because your name says you're ready doesn't mean you actually need to go out there. It doesn't mean that what I've seen makes you ready. If we can get through with Ewers, why not throw out Ewers and allow Manning that time? And I think that's what happened. And so if that is true, I don't think Arch Manning being all world is what a lot of Texas fans are hanging their hat on. I think it's his defense. I mean, if you look at every position group on defense, Texas is usually top 5 in everyone's list. And no one's talking about it because we have Arch Manning. So it's like, and I get it. It's Arch Manning. So do I subscribe to the Arch Manning Heisman talk? No. Do I subscribe to the Arch Manning is going to be good? Yeah. But I don't know if he's going to be great. I think he's going to be good. And I think that's good enough.
Yeah, no, that defense is sick nasty. As someone who's just a sicko when it comes to recruiting, like I'm paying attention to that I spend hours every single day looking at that. It's just my bread and butter. But
Yeah.
I see what they're putting together with Colin Simmons, who we talked about. Anthony Hill is one of my favorite players in the country. You lose Jade Varon, you lose Andrew Makuba, but there's the guys right behind him. You have Trey Moore, who really came on strong down the stretch last year, that should be able to step up for you. Like, that's a scary looking defense.
Yeah.
One last question, super quick, no hesitation. I just want it top of your head. Who's number 1 receiver?
Oh gosh. In college football?
Texas.
Oh, Ryan Wingo.
Yeah. I know I really like Khalil Lockett. I'm curious how quickly he finds the field, but I know Ryan Wingo is one of the guys everyone's really excited about. I know Jaime French is there. I don't know how quick he gets on the field. And I know there's another guy I'm forgetting for sure. That room looks terrific.
And they got the tight end from Cal. And then they added the guy from Stanford. I think, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, Texas has the potential to do the thing. But even if I look at the guys that they ended up getting, they got a couple guys that have like 2 more years left. And I'm like, well, why did they get guys that have 2 more years left? Well, because they think Arch Manning is going to be there for 2 more years. And so again, it's like, if you look at what's going on, but again, nobody wants to hear that, right? Arch Manning, #1 draft pick in the 2025 draft. I got it. But it's like, if we like pay attention, it's like, we'll get all the answers. So, but yeah, I'm excited to see these wide receivers. They're young. I'm excited to see if anybody pops. If anybody pops. Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of Wingo hype, and losing Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, Gunnar Helm, right?
Gunnar Helm. Yeah.
That's a lot of big losses. So I think it's going to be really interesting, not only for Arch to come out for the first time in a full-time starting role, but he's going to have a lot of young receivers that he's spent a lot of time with, working with second team and everything.
And that's what I tell people is like, we're forgetting like sometimes I feel like we forget football, how it works whenever we want to make a point, and it's like, who do you think Arch was throwing to when he wasn't going with the second team? All the guys that are going to play this year. Who do you think was his offensive line when he was on the field? All the guys that are playing offensive line this year. Like, it's a system. Every team does this. It's just, I think we forget about those things sometimes. So,
and it's so much more important with college because you have the rotation that you don't have in the NFL. So you want those guys to have the familiarity with each other. Offensive line is going to look really different, but I also know that Texas just recruits great. Yeah. I'm just interested how the big losses get filled, but I'm with you on that defense. That if I had to make something right off the top of my head, I think Texas probably has the best defense in the country right now.
Yeah. And the other thing I'll say, and I'll leave with this, and then I'll ask you about Arizona State, what we should think about for 2025 is, if you go back and watch the playoffs and Texas A&M. So if you watch Texas A&M, us play Clemson, us play UAll, us play Ohio State, go look at the guys who were playing on defense. It's not the guys you thought were playing on defense, because the guys that are playing this year were already rotating in. They were already seen as rotational players. And so a lot of guys are like, you guys had Alfred Collins, you guys had Vernon Broughton, you guys have da-da-da. Yes, and they were still rotating out so that Ethan Burks could come in. And so for the guys that are still here, and I don't think people are thinking about it because they're so fixated on Arch Manning. So it's just, what can I do? At this point, I'm just like, Arch Manning's going to be great. Yeah, cool, whatever. Like, I don't even care anymore because I'm exhausted. The season hasn't started and I'm exhausted. So
that's why I had to give you the warning. I was like, we got to start with the elephant in the room.
I get it. I so get it. I also, I get, and it makes sense, right? It's just, that's why I'm like, please season, please start, please. Like, let us get like our first interception. So like people will go, who made that interception? What happened?
Exactly.
Or let Colin Simmons like run over a left tackle. And so somebody will be like, oh, right, they have Colin Simmons. So it's like, geez.
He's good at football.
Yeah, he's pretty good. So, well, anything else you want us to know about Arizona State this 2025 season, or maybe just something that you came into this conversation that like I didn't have as a question that you wanted to make sure that I knew, or that you shared with everyone who will watch this episode?
No, I think that we covered most of the bases. All I will say is Arizona State is a deadly team, not just because they're bringing everyone back, but because even after going to the college football playoff, taking Texas to double overtime, this is still a team that is being overlooked. They are consistently either tied for best odds or not even the best odds to win the Big 12. Somehow Utah has better odds than them again, because we can never stop talking about Utah, I guess. But they feel like one of the most disrespected teams in college football. And that's what made them so good last year. Yep. They were picked to finish dead last in the Big 12, finished in first place, and they're getting the same disrespect, but this time from a national perspective, not from a conference perspective. And for a team that's already got a lot of guys coming back and a lot of very good guys and a handful of future guys who are going to be playing on Sundays, you're already feeling that fire. Arizona State's going to be deadly again this year. Don't sleep on them.
I like it. I don't want Texas to play Arizona State again. So there's that. I'm good on that. Anyways, well, thank you so much for joining me, responding to my comments and all of that. I will put all of your information in the description so everybody can find you on Twitter, on YouTube, and all of those different things. And who knows, maybe we'll find a reason to do this again during the season at some point. Something will happen where I will be like, I need an Arizona State perspective. I am reaching out to you first.
I'm your guy. And, like I said, just big old sicko with college football. So we can talk ball whenever you want. I
love it.
appreciate you having me, though.
Of course. Thank you so much.